Now we're live. Welcome to the show. All right, so
Yeah, but anyway, I asked my wife for a different camera because I had to buy this one for a class, which is fine, and it worked okay. But you can't auto adjust it. Like you cannot manually adjust it, and half the time it doesn't want to adjust. Like you've seen it. It gets out of focus all the time, and I don't know why. So anyway.
oh yeah, I was just gonna say, like I'm thinking when we start a stream, I know on Twitch if you go to a channel, it'll start playing a video right off.
Yeah.
So we're gonna open with you talking about that camera.
Oh well.
But
people can tell me what kind of camera to get.
This is the Venom that is still unclaimed. So they've got an hour. If they don't claim or make contact or let me know that they've heard, that is Space Marshmallow Randy. Within that amount of time, then that's 2 videos they haven't bothered watching to see if they won.
Yeah.
And it goes back into the pot. So, one last look. And then we'll do this again in an hour. I was really thinking about what I was going to do next. And I want to do some painting, but I want to try something different, another new method. But I don't have the type of paper that I need to do. Which I'm guessing on Christmas I will, or if not, I'll go and buy. With my diminishing funds. Oh. Guess we'll start some music because we have one viewer that never speaks.
No, yeah. Maybe it's Big Walrus. Maybe he's sleeping.
I guess that's possible. I don't know. But it seems to be every show we have one viewer that never speaks.
No, yeah?
Yeah.
That's the FBI.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Well, then we must not be very interesting. Because they're viewing us, but they're not doing anything else. So, Twitter relaxed their rules on nudity, like art nudity, so you could draw nipples or penises or whatever.
Okay.
If you're doing it in art and not sexually explicit, like masturbating or having sex or whatever.
Okay.
And there was one person streaming that I was watching, and she took one of her creations, and because it was a digital creation, she kind of undid a little bit of a layer where it's like a woman demon, and she erased the clothes from the top part and then started reforming the boobs so how they would lay naturally, and then she started doing the nipples, and all of a sudden they fucking kicked her. Apparently it's okay to do it, but you have to literally put it in a label. Now, I've got a label that says adult content.
Yeah.
And that should be enough of a label. But apparently they have to have an explicit content warning or whatever because of it.
Okay, so, but on Tuesday, nothing explicit.
What's it?
On Tuesday, nothing explicit.
Nothing explicit?
Yeah, Tuesday has to be nothing explicit.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying. Tuesday. We have to be on our best behavior.
Yeah, but after that.
Okay. Yeah, after
Well,
that, I don't care. Tuesday.
That's, I mean, obviously that's a question too, if you think about it. You don't have artists in that school in 9th, 10th grade,
Well, I do. In fact,
ninth to senior, and they
I
don't
did.
see art that covers that spectrum.
Again,
No, I'm not talking about lewd. I'm talking about nude.
I
And
know,
the
and
difference between it. I'm clarifying for others.
for me, it's just like, so this year we taught Slaughterhouse, or I taught Slaughterhouse 5. And it's got language in it that's pretty rough. I mean, it just is. And it's part of our, like, we have a large set of books so that we can teach it. It wasn't like I ordered them; they were already there. So I'm not too worried about it. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I ever want to teach this again, because I can see a parent complaining, even though I think this is literature, and even though I think it's a valuable book by a Hoosier author for a Hoosier class. I'm like, all right, I get it. When the school teaches it, you're promoting a viewpoint to some degree. You're at least discussing it. You're giving it some credibility. And where my tastes are and my sensibilities isn't necessarily where everyone else's tastes and sensibilities are. And so if you get a parent who wants to go after you, you're just giving them fodder to go after you. When I talked about this channel.
So we're using the Loomis method.
Oh, I actually know what that is.
For anybody that doesn't know what I'm doing.
But I went and asked one of the other department chairs, like, am I allowed to say anything? Do you think I'm allowed to say anything about the channel? Like, it's not mine. And, I'm like, we talk about writing, we talk about art. You do art. So for my classes, the writing aspect of it, perfectly in line. The artwork, I think, is, again, it's a valuable pursuit. So I have no problem with that. But there's no way I could make this an assignment to watch unless we were going to be, like, really dealing with something that pertains to class. So
what are we doing?
Well, I'm just saying it's not necessarily aligned with our curriculum. But, whatever. I gave them an opportunity to go see something that I find culturally relevant. And if they want to participate, all's good. If they don't want to participate, they're not going to be penalized in any way, shape, or form. And you asked earlier why I told them about Tuesday's stream and not tonight's. And
no, I was joking that you didn't make them do extra credit on the weekend.
Well, there was a triple header basketball game tonight. We had our freshman team, our JV team, and our senior team, or varsity, whatever. So yeah, freshman, JV, and varsity were all playing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to try to compete with that. Not around here. So that's actually why I said Tuesday. Also, I wasn't 100% sure I'd be here because, reasons. Sometimes my children have to go do things at basketball games. Whatever that may be. Playing the pet band, that's it.
What?
Well, my sons are both in band, and there's a pet band there, and they can play in it. So I didn't know if I'd have to be there for that. I've never used the Loomis method. I've seen it. I know what it is.
Okay.
I've never used it. I don't know.
So I don't really use it strictly most of the time.
Yeah.
Because I've drawn so long, and I learned to draw by looking at what I'm drawing.
Yeah.
I do rough shapes normally. I'll do a head shape and then kind of get where the eyes are, and then from there I can work it. But
yeah, that's kind of how I've always. I mean, like when I did portraits, I just look at the subject and draw it. I never did the Loomis stuff.
well, I kind of give a bastardized version of the Loomis method normally. So I guess I'm just kind of playing around with the idea now to see if it can help me with I want to say symmetricity, but it's not really. I don't want to make anything symmetrical if I'm doing a 3/4 turn. But you ever notice, like, sometimes if you're drawing, well, I don't know how often you draw anymore, but like sometimes I'm drawing and it doesn't seem like the eyes are in the right place. Like they're a little bit askew with each other.
Okay.
So what I'm toying with the Loomis method for right now is to see if it helps me in that regard. So, and I'm using basic proportions. So Loomis, okay, Andrew Loomis. The reason that he's so important in his methods, and it's really his book Creative Illustration, because it's a compilation of all of his other books, the basic information of all of his other books. What he did in that, and why it's so relevant still today, is that he was the first one to collate all the information that artists were being taught pretty much around the world. Like about, he's talking about proportion and perspective and composition and how to make the eye go around. Go around the piece and come back to where you want it to be. So as an artist, you want it to be able to land be able to make the viewer look where you want them to look.
Yeah.
So usually there's 4 divisions. The first one is the top of the head to the forehead line. The second one is the forehead line to just above the eyebrow. And then from just above the eyebrow to just below the nose to the chin. The center of the eye, and that's another thing, there should be 5 eyes. That's the proportion. There should be enough to be one between the ear and the eye, one between the eye and the other eye, and then so on. So you got between the ear and the eye is the length of the eye, and then you've got the eye. And then you've got the length of the eye between the eye and the other eye. So from ear to ear, there should be the distance of 5 eyes. But where the regular eyes are set, in the center of them, if you draw a line down from where the center of that eyeball is, it should give you the edge of the mouth. That's where the corners of the mouth should be. And that's usually just a little bit less than half the distance between the bottom of the nose and the chin is where the mouth's located. And then the jaw is where the mouth is, or if you follow it around the side to the ear, and that's the angle from where the mouth is to the chin. Basically, that's the jawline. Now, what we're talking about is landmarks, not rules. So before anyone says, oh, I know someone that's got huge eyes and it doesn't seem like they've got an eye space in between. Well, yeah, there's exceptions to the rules.
Yeah.
Because they're not rules, they're just landmarks. And if you do these landmarks, if you set these landmarks up, then you should get a fairly good, believable approximation of a face. And the corner of the eyes pretty much comes out to where the nostril flare is.
See, that's kind of fun when people want to argue about, I know someone who doesn't fit those parameters. It's like, yeah, I know someone who doesn't have 2 ears. So?
Right, well, so
if I want to draw that specific person, I make changes. So
these are really people that are trying to be nonconformists. They're like they're artists, but they don't want to do it the way that everybody else does it because they think their way will work all the time. I have one of them. And he doesn't want to learn from me. He gives me yes, yes, yes because he doesn't think I know what I'm actually telling him, or that his way will work in an easier way so he doesn't have to learn my method. Well, I keep trying to tell him it's really not my method. It is a method I learned, but if I had learned it a lot younger, then it would have been a lot easier for me to get where I am now, or maybe even, further. So I'm doing a head sketch, but I'm not really sure who I'm doing. I was actually going to do like a monster or fictional creature. That was my original thinking anyway. But that doesn't rely on proportion, so this is something that someone could look at it and go, okay, I understand now that this is a method you could use to get a fairly familiar shape. I didn't actually even want to be doing any real hard lines. I tend to do that a little bit more with this pencil than I should. Any ideas? I can go anywhere from here pretty much.
I don't know.
Now you have my problem.
Oh, it's about ready to blow my nose super loud. Hold on a second. I'm glad it tells me that my mic is mute.
Just a gentle reminder.
Yeah. But have you ever seen the TV version, the original TV version of The Stand?
Yes.
Okay.
The original? There's another one?
Yeah, they remade it. Yeah, it was released on Hulu. Like, I think it was on Hulu. It might have been on Paramount.
So you're talking about the one with Gary Sinise and
yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Rob Lowe and the dude from Coach.
Yeah. Do you know who the Trash Can Man is?
Yeah. Max Headroom.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you should try drawing him.
Well, I'm not doing a portrait.
Well, I'm not saying him. I mean, like not a portrait per se. I'm saying just like the character after he's like basically on his way back across the desert where he's all sunburnt and you know basically melting because he's carrying a nuclear weapon with him, and you know, real tasty stuff. And later on, I'll tell you why. Although, you can probably figure it out.
Well, I don't know if that's what I was talking about when I was,
All right, do whatever you want.
Suggesting this because I'm talking about trying to do something simple, you know.
Okay.
Um, I could do that, but it would take a while,
All right.
even more longer while than normal. So what's the reason?
I put it in
I
private.
was, I was thinking, you know, like superhero or you know something like that, like Batman
Oh,
or
okay.
Wolverine or you know something that's simpler where I'm just you know building off of the Loomis method and would have time.
Okay.
Huh.
Well, a real simple one would be
So now that I don't know. Now you're saying that it wouldn't make me think of that. You know what I mean?
well,
No, I'm saying it wouldn't make me think of. That's not what I would think of in relation to that subject.
yeah, okay.
Uh,
But
I guess I don't know what you're thinking about
yeah, I know.
with that subject. I almost was going to do Unjot and Squirrel there,
Oh yeah.
but they would have been full character sketch. I don't mind playing around with that idea, but
You could
it's
do
the same thing. It's not gonna. That's just not gonna be something short. That's all.
the
And
Phantom.
I was thinking of something I could probably get done.
The Phantom has got to be one of the simplest comic book characters ever.
Yeah, he's pretty ugly, but he's a simple character. Let's see.
Just a purple suit with a.
No, he's got a black mask,
Yeah, right. And like I think,
and he's got like a widow's peak on the purple suit.
yeah.
All right, so I guess what I would do is maybe try to take him and modernize him. So I guess we'll shoot with that. Let's see if I can find a.
Yep, he's got the domino mask, whatever, that's black, and then yeah, the purple cowl, I guess. But basically, it's just a relatively generic purple-skinned human.
Well, actually, all the things that I see,
Yeah,
and the movie was really close as far as costume goes.
yeah.
He basically looks like a frogman, like basically a diver. Instead of having goggles, she has a
Yeah.
black mask. Except for in this iteration of him.
Okay. Oh, I saw that. Where was that? Because, yeah, I saw it. Reimagined and reloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been a real winner, as I never heard of it until just now.
It just cracked me up thinking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really, really golden age. He's like Doc Savage and stuff like that. I think actually him and Doc Savage and two other characters that were strip characters were a team for something 6, I want to say. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much the way it's set up, the mask like that. Actually, I think Billy Zane's a good actor, but I think when he came out, he was bald. They just pretty much dumped him.
Yeah, which is kind of sad.
Right, Sean Connery was bald.
Yeah.
And he wore wigs for how long, you know? Oh, sorry, too big.
Yeah, last night I was introduced to a new term for a hair prosthetic that I had never heard of. I was like, okay.
Is it a derogatory term?
No, it's not. There was my wife leaned over and said one of the women in the concert last night was wearing a hair fall, and I had no idea what a hair fall was. And apparently it's a way to make your hair look thicker, like that you have more volume than what you really do. So it's not quite a wig because you have hair and your hair is still out, but I was like, okay.
Can I call him Merkel?
No.
Oh, wrong wig.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just one of those things where I was like, yeah, I've never in my life have I ever heard of that, but okay.
So the Phantom and the Shadow used to team up.
Okay.
Phantom, the Shadow, Doc Savage, and I guess there was some team ups with Tarzan and the Little Ranger, but I would say the Phantom, Doc Savage, and the Shadow. But that's what I was talking about. That's that era of comic.
Right.
Or comic strips, if you want. I'll give it a shot. What the hell?
It's just a purple cowl and a domino mask. I mean,
it's really like a diver suit with a widow's peak.
Yeah.
So it's not really a cowl.
Well, yeah, for whatever.
I know they call Batman's a cowl, but Batman's technically is not a cowl either. Cowl is pretty much a hood.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too. And I was like, it's a really tight cowl. But yeah, I don't think it's actually a cowl. I think you're right.
No, this isn't. It's a mask. It's like a diver's suit. It's open around the face, but so it's like a cross between a purple Batman and Robin, or if you look at this setup, kind of looks like a the Vision shape.
I always thought that the Phantom was a pretty cool idea.
It's a long-running comic strip.
Yeah, but I never think they really did. I don't know. It's one of those things where I think it's a neat concept, but I didn't like the execution of the movie, the comics. It's like, okay.
Did you read the comics?
I've seen some of them. It wasn't enough to get me really interested.
Well,
so I didn't follow them.
Seeing some of them and reading them it's not the same thing.
I agree, but it's like I didn't it wasn't enough for me to, like, I've read some, and I was like, all right, I just didn't like it. I mean, I just thought
Okay.
but I understand that's not the same thing. Like, to me, reading a like I read the X-Men.
Well, I only asked because you specified I have seen them.
Right. Well, that's how I feel about, if it's a comic book that I've looked at a couple times, like I've picked up a couple. I won't say that I read it. I mean, I do, but like I read Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I read the X-Men.
That shit.
I just, I tasted the Phantom and I didn't like it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, because he's a dead guy.
Well, he's a guy. We'll start with that.
Okay. We'll ignore the fact that I'm pretty certain he's dead, but, whatever.
Well,
At least in some versions he's dead.
I wouldn't taste the guy, let alone a dead guy.
Well, okay. I'm just saying, it's not like it's getting any better.
Well, we'll start with he's a guy. No, thank you.
Okay.
I mean, there obviously are people out there that don't have that problem. But
and I'm happy that there are people like that.
You're happy that there are people that don't have a problem tasting dead guys?
Well, dead guys,
Dead
guys I have a problem with, but the fact that, that's just like, like.
You think Dahmer would be like, thank you for your support?
Oh, Lord.
Dahmer remembers.
That's like once. Oh, I got super mad at Walmart because I was there with my wife and she didn't have her wallet on her and whatever, didn't think anything about it. And we were getting groceries and I think we got like a 6-pack of wine coolers or something, which is kind of rare for us because we don't really drink, but we had them, whatever. And they wouldn't sell it to us because she didn't have her ID. And on one hand, I was like, but I have mine. And they're like, yes, but everyone in your party has to. And I'm like, so you're telling me that a single parent's not allowed to buy alcohol? Like, it, oh, yeah. See, I'm getting heated now. So.
Well, yeah, like, because, they don't know if you're buying them for a kid. And I actually ran into that problem in other places, like in Michigan.
But I just.
So
at some point in time, because the sign says that, if you look like you're under 40, they got to card you.
Oh, under 40. That's, well.
And I'm like, and at the time, I was over 40 and my wife's older than me. So.
Yeah, but that's not what it says. It says if you look like it.
Well, okay. And I was like, but I was mad. And I was like, you seriously think my wife looks like she's underage? Like, it'd be awesome if my wife was underage. Just not thinking about it, But, oh, I was hot. I was like, that's really not what I meant. But.
Good thing it's Tuesday night.
Yeah, Tuesday night.
This is going to be one of the tamest conversations we have because it's not Tuesday night.
Oh, later on, after the stream, ask me about Tuesday. And it was, I'll just tell you all the things that the kids said. Because it's
all the things that the kids say. I guess I wanted to know. I thought it was kind of odd to do what you were doing.
Okay.
And,
why is it odd?
just odd as in not common. You know?
Okay.
Not something I would have expected.
Well,
and why? I mean, like, we've had conversations about you being glad your kids didn't know where to find you.
Because
So,
I mean, as fabulous as this stream is, and I don't want to denigrate the stream in any way, shape, or form, but I also know my
I've
students.
denigrated them.
Well, I'm just saying they're going to.
You
Most
wouldn't
of
be
them.
the only one that thinks of it that way.
Well, they'll just. I don't know. We're not blowing anything up. We're not having any nudity. We're not doing anything stupid. So a lot of them will just, not care. And then there are a couple, especially the more artistic ones, who might care, which is why I kind of did it. Just because, as far as I'm concerned, it's I don't know. I mean, again, I think it's good for them to see people working in the arts. I think that's a valuable thing. And we talk about writing. We talk about the writing industry. We talk about illustrating. We talk about art. These are all good discussions that a lot of them are never going to have because, it's just not what they're going to pay attention to, I guess. So I have, I see nothing wrong with it.
Saying it was a surprise or not what I expected
Ugh.
doesn't mean that I see something wrong with it. It just means that, given you were talking about, you hope they don't run across the channel.
Yeah, if they want it, they can find it. But
that's why I made the comment. It wasn't like, don't let them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you can't let them do that. It was, I thought you were hiding from them.
Well,
I thought you were trying to separate those parts of your life.
Sort of, but at the same time, I'm not ashamed of anything that we do here. And I don't, in general, I don't want to be self-promoting in my classroom just because I think that's kind of distasteful. But
right. And that is the only kind of objection that I was having or thinking of is.
Yeah, but I got kids that are begging me for stuff, and I thought, yeah, why not? And of course, they all think that it's going to be like the greatest thing ever, and I'm like, okay. Like, I've already done the math. I've already figured things out. Like, whatever.
Huh?
I don't want to get. I'm not. I'll just pop something in private chat. There. That's why I'm being cagey about exactly what we're talking about.
I can probably guess why you're being cagey about it.
Well, I mean, it's in private chat. It's there if you want to see.
Yeah, I was just looking at a reference, so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's that too. Like, But yeah, I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I told Amanda what you said, and she started laughing. So, like, I mean, like, what you had proposed. So,
Well,
but, you know, just because, like, it may not be, we may be looking at it, overcomplicating it, over deepening it. I don't know.
well, again, if it had nothing to do with what I, with what goes on in my classroom, it'd be different.
Right.
In the grand.
That's what I was thinking also.
So I'm not overly worried. And again, I'm not.
We talk a lot about writing.
Yeah.
A lot. Like, I don't think we've had an episode go by that we haven't talked about writing. And I think it might even be that that's part of what some people don't stick around. Why some people don't stick around, because they're here thinking that it's going to be art and
art.
Right, and we're talking about subjects that are not just art. And honestly, it's a small cost, because eventually people are going to come knowing that we're more of a well-rounded discussion than just what I'm drawing this week, or who I'm drawing this week, or whether I'm painting, or whether I'm doing a commission, or
Anyway. Yeah, I saw something earlier today I was going to bring up about, unfortunately, I think it's gone now. But, well, it's not gone. It's just I don't remember exactly who the woman was. There was some author who got in trouble because her first book was set to come out. And so she went through and looked up primarily other writers of color, like she is, and that had books that were set to come out or have come out. I didn't quite understand it because she was using Goodreads, but she was giving them really terrible reviews, whether she'd read the stuff or not, just to basically hurt the competition.
Yeah, but so, like, I've talked about this when I train tattoo artists. When you shit talk other tattoo artists,
yeah,
even if it's true, there's some pretty disgusting and underhanded things that some tattoo artists have done, and I use the term tattoo artist loosely when I'm talking about that. But there are some things pretty disgusting that some people have done. But when you bring that up and when you say, oh, so-and-so does this, it doesn't just affect so-and-so. What happens is that person you tell now has it in the mind that people do that.
Yeah.
And then they wonder if you're doing that. You know what I mean? So it doesn't achieve anything good. I think.
Well, I can't fathom, like, how bad is your own writing if you have to try to take out the competition by lying. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. And quite frankly, I don't think that's generally how fiction in particular works, because if I write a book about whatever and then there's another book that's like my book, chances are, even if you read the other book first, a lot of people are going to, oh, I'd like to see more stuff like this. Oh, here's one that's like that? Cool. And so authors build other authors. That's just how I feel about it. I mean, I get...
You think that, and I agree with the logic of building up instead of tearing down.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. I read, and this is like a little bit of a segue, but it's also where my mind is going from it. There was an author whose fans went to see another author that was popular.
Okay.
I don't really want to say who it was because I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's the indication I got is it was an author like George Martin, who had just broken big, right?
Okay.
And another author who was like George Martin had fans stand in line to get an autograph from him, but then when they came up, they threw coffee cups full of piss and stuff like that on him.
Oh my goodness.
At a signing. And I really can't see anything that should condone that behavior.
Right.
So, I mean, it's sort of what you're talking about, the digital version of that, you know?
Yeah.
That served no purpose other than to try to embarrass them at an event where they couldn't do anything about it. Well, anyone that's been in writing long enough knows you don't address people that give you bad reviews.
Right.
You just let it go, because bad reviews are attention also.
Well, that's how Orson Scott Card talks about it.
Enough readers will make observations contrary to it. Like I was talking about last show with Jamie Ford.
Yeah.
I was reading through his reviews, but so I was reading through his reviews after I've read every book he's written. Now, I started reading him because he was a hat tracker, and on through Orson Scott Card's boot camp, and he was, on Hat Track, not only just gaining a readership, he was also talking about his experience with Orson Scott Card and his experience with writing at all. The story, when he went to Orson Scott Card's boot camp, was one of the few ones that wasn't speculative. It was basically a true story. But he wrote it in the same way you do to hook a reader. So I've read all of his books, and I go and I read this afterwards. So I didn't go to read the comments, okay? I went to look into buying a copy for a friend of mine that I think would really enjoy it. And then I'm looking at the comments, and I saw it was like 60% were 5-star and maybe 20% were 4-star, and then they went down from there. But I couldn't imagine he would get a 1-star, you know?
Right.
He and I guess part of the reasons that I had a hard time imagining that he was going to get a 1-star at all was because he is of the politic that's popular these days, so they generally don't do that. You know what I mean? Right. And B, he's good enough to transcend that for readers that wouldn't be attracted to that element. Because I'm one of those readers that wouldn't be attracted to that element. But, and I just couldn't imagine why somebody would give him a bad review. Just, I read them, I saw them with my own eyes, and I'm like, and then I kind of realized later on that these were, I want to call them historical fiction snobs. They're the kind of people that will read a historical fiction book like a Bernard Cornwell book and completely diss the book because a queen tasted a chocolate in a time before the Swiss actually exported chocolates.
No.
Well, like, you know, that could possibly happen with a queen, a gift for a queen. Or him mentioning flowers that he literally sees on the countryside. But in that time period, they had not yet been imported. Okay, does it really take you out of the story when someone's running for his life because he jumped into a bunch of azaleas or something? Like, really, you're going to stop and go, he didn't jump into a bunch of azaleas?
Yeah, that seems a little ridiculous.
I mean, especially given that you're not reading a history book, you're reading an action book or an adventure book. I guess I should thank you for this challenge because the face is funny. Better than I was thinking it was gonna in the first place. It is pretty simple. Yeah, so that's really strange for an author of color.
Yeah.
To not support other authors of color. And that's so the argument with them being persons of color, with them being underrepresented in publication it's really defeated by
You know?
this particular action. So I don't know why we would do that.
Well, because again, it's directly, it's trying to make
Well, yeah, it's competition. They're trying to eliminate the competition, but that's not that much competition. Like, in that particular subset, there's way more than enough to go around.
yeah.
And if they're any good, they're going to be targeted at every turn anyway.
Whoever this woman was lost her publishing contract.
And well, she should have, because that's underhanded stuff. That's ethically wrong.
I agree, and but I was like, well, that's probably good that happened. I could see them ignoring it, but I'm glad they did it. Especially because she was giving bad reviews to other people that company was publishing. I'm that's probably why you lost your contract.
That's probably why, in a nutshell, right there. That is probably exactly why she lost her contract. Do you know what the publisher was? Was it Kensington?
It's Del Rey.
I had an author of color. She's also a teacher.
Yeah.
She bought one of my first anthology publications.
Oh, yeah?
Because she liked my story. Instrument of Vengeance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one.
Nope.
It's starts with a killer whose head's in his victim's lap because he's in love with her. He doesn't want to kill her, but he's contracted to kill her by Agamemnon.
Yeah, I don't recall that one.
So basically, she was a victim of Agamemnon's rape and torture on one of the islands, and became a priestess. And she had basically gotten diseases from him.
Okay.
But because she was a priestess, they were dormant.
Okay.
And this particular killer had fallen in love with her before he got the assignment to kill her.
Yeah.
And instead of, when he told her, instead of her saying, you know, don't kill me or save me or kill Agamemnon or whatever,
Yeah.
which is what he offered to do, she was like, no, I don't want to live anymore, and the only way I can die is if someone I love kills me.
Huh.
So the main thing is that the killer, before she told him the secrets, she basically grabbed his head and pulled the crow on him, and he saw all the things that she had suffered through. So he goes from his point of view into her point of view.
Okay.
And I think that's why she liked it. But she bought a bunch of the anthologies to assign your class to read because she liked the story so much. That was probably my greatest literary achievement. Teacher had no personal investment in it. Well, she had a personal investment because she actually bought the books, but bought my stuff to teach a class. That was, I guess, the ultimate compliment if you really think about it.
Yeah.
But the point, I guess, to the whole story was that she had some deal and a hookup in the Kensington Corporation. And Kensington Publishing, you see all over Walmart.
Okay.
I just never finished the novel in time to get it in when I was talking to her, and then the whole racial climate exploded, and then we didn't really talk after that. So, kind of sad about it because I like her and I think she's a really positive person, and a definite source of inspiration for a young writer. But it seemed like she jumped on the tear down the statues and flags and whatever bandwagon that was going on at that time. I still do have mad respect for her, but she hasn't actually reached out and said anything to me in a long time. That's kind of sad.
I agree.
Now, do I go with the comic or do I go with the movie? If I go with the movie, you actually see his eyeballs.
I'll leave him out. It's comic book accurate.
What's that?
I'd just leave him out.
Yeah, that's the comic book thing to do. Leave them white. I was actually, at the beginning of this, I was thinking about doing Batman because he's a nice default, familiar image. His silhouette's a pretty clear silhouette. And that's one of those things where, depending on who you're looking at or who your reference is, or if it's real, like a movie reference or whatever, sometimes you see the eyes, sometimes you don't. In my head, as a comic book reader, I always thought that those were really kind of supposed to represent like mirror lenses.
Yeah.
Because Moon Knight is supposed to, his costume is not white in as it's written, it's silver. It's like the moon is supposed to be silver and reflective and all that. And that's one of the things that they never really explored the character very well with, because they didn't draw him like Silver Surfer. And that's pretty much what he should look like, because his first appearance was in Werewolf by Night. Because his silver hurt the werewolf. So, knowing that, my brain's all like, all those white masks that you can't see the eyes on, they're either silver or they're just like a white lens. I want to find a real good light source picture. So, after 9:15.
Yep.
I'm gonna show the picture again. To the one viewer. Could be winning this. Space Marshmallow, all you have to do is claim it, say that it's yours. But it doesn't appear you've been paying attention again. So, I guess we'll raffle one more. Or raffle. We'll do a drawing for one more. Without Space Marshmallow's name. And why without Space Marshmallow's name? Because Space Marshmallow is not paying attention anyway. So if he won, and I gave him 2 different shows to say I wanted and give you the address to send it to, then apparently he doesn't really want it bad enough to be entered in it. I don't know if there's a disconnect, if he actually thought that because we didn't draw it that night, we weren't going to draw it, but whatever the case, he's had a couple of opportunities and he is lost out now. So, that's it. Yeah.
Ugh.
Now see, I've got this eraser crumbled green, and still I want to smear the side of my hand with eraser marks. So the Phantom. All right. Whoa.
What?
Oh, just I didn't realize how old that movie was.
Oh. Yeah, that's what, from the 90s, I think?
96, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And the one that happened in 2006 was an atrocity. So yeah, that's yeah, that's probably not what I would want to be doing. All right.
I'll be right back.
That's just as well. No, I'm not going to color this all in black and gray. I don't think. Anyway. The plan is to paint it. But I want to have some solid darks there. Ooh, I like that. Now let's all right. Nobody here still. All right, let's see. And by the numbers. 5's not been wanting to work lately. 350.
I'm back.
I'm glad you tried hard not to surprise the guy with the heart condition.
Oh, you're welcome. That's what I tell my wife whenever she tries, because she thinks it's funny because I tend to get startled. If you wake me up, I tend to be rather startled.
I can start it pretty easy sometimes too. I totally understand you.
And then my wife thinks it's funny, and I'm like, well, when I end up dead because of that, I hope you find it real funny.
It's like, what is it, Wallace Wallace?
I don't know.
The guy that was in Princess Bride.
Okay. Oh, yeah?
His name's Wallace or Wallace or something like that.
Okay.
The actual actor's name is Wallace something. Or something Wallace. Well, he's laughing about switching the poison, and then he's like, ah. You've seen The Princess Bride.
Yeah, I have. I am not as enamored with it as other people are, but...
Well, you don't have to be enamored with it, but it's the scene where he switches the cups, and there's like, you thought that I thought, and whatever.
Right.
And then he starts laughing. Jim dies, falls down dead. What do you want? No, sir. No, cannot. I can't. I can't, sir. No, you can't. The argument in this house is whether he can love me more than I love him. And that is a physical impossibility. This is an ongoing argument that happens all the time. And just when I said it's a physical impossibility, he goes, "Hey, stop."
Oh.
I'm seeing a lot of Phantom stuff where his mask is very thin. Doesn't cover so much of his cheeks, so he's a cross between the Billy Zane Phantom and the comic strip Phantom. I was listening to someone defend that movie
Oh yeah.
just a couple of days ago. Actually, I think it was Chuck Dixon.
What was he saying?
Oh, he was saying that the movie looked exactly right for what it should have looked. Billy Zane did an excellent job in the part.
Okay.
He gave his reasons why he thought it failed, and I think I don't remember them. So I can't speak too much on them, but I don't think he'd probably be too far off. That guy's been in comics for a long time.
I think part of the problem, if I remember the movie right, because I've seen it, in a way, I think it has the same problem that a lot of the Superman films kind of had. It just seemed like, okay, you got this superhero, but you don't really have a supervillain.
I think they did have a supervillain, and that's what he was talking about too. Was he did mention that villain was the right villain too? So
I don't remember who the villain. I didn't think it was.
I don't remember it either. I really kind of just remember Billy Zane, but to be honest, I didn't read a lot of the comic strip. So,
well, let's just look it up. Because why not? All right. Gosh, I don't remember that. Of course, it's been almost 30 years, but whatever.
Right. It's like Cutthroat Island. I can't tell you why, but I feel like that should have been a bigger hit, Isn't that
the one that bombed terribly?
It did, and I don't think it should have. Maybe it kind of leaned towards trying to be a little bit comedic or something. I don't know. I don't think it should have. Like, it had Matthew Modine was top of his game right there. Gina Davis was pretty much top of her game right there. Although that's not what her best movie is, that I would say.
Yeah, I remember. I've never seen it. I remember it. I remember it coming out, and I remember it bombing, and just never watched it.
Well, it was kind of a pre-Pirates of the Caribbean. I think they tried to make Matthew Modine's character a little bit more like, or he tried to play him off more like Errol Flynn
Yeah.
than he should have. And I think that if it would have been a more serious movie, it would have been a more successful movie. But I think it cut too close to the edge of comedy to be a serious movie, and it wasn't a very good comedy. So it did not straddle that line, that dramedy line, like Beverly Hills Cop, and that kind of stuff. It didn't. I think it might have tried to do that, but that was the wrong film to try to do that with. That's an old film, but I think these were all kind of the same day, or the same period. When I say day, I'm talking back in the.
Right.
I think Gina Davis's best movie is The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Isn't that a Christmas movie?
That could be called a Christmas movie. It's definitely set at Christmas time.
That's what I thought. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, her as what she is, and Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
They had great chemistry.
Okay. Well, I'm looking up the box office for December of 1995, kind of to try to see what Cutthroat Island was competing against.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And so it came out on the 22nd of December, apparently.
Yeah, and a pirate movie. It was not set in like a Christmas setting.
Right. Grumpier Old Men came out that same day. I don't even... Tom and Huck. I guess that's probably Tom and Huckleberry Finn. Sudden Death came out that
was a kids movie, right? With Jonathan Taylor Thomas or something.
Yeah, something.
If I'm right, dude, that's a hell that's a hell of a week, because it's a movie I've never seen, but I believe I've seen it advertised. Anyway.
Well, there aren't a lot of movies that came out that day in the U.S., but
they don't necessarily. It's not necessarily competing with what came out.
Oh, I know. The original Jumanji had come out the week before.
Right. That's probably still going.
Heat had come out. GoldenEye was still in theaters. Toy Story was still in theaters.
Yeah, Toy Story would have killed it.
Waiting to Exhale came out on the same day.
Yeah, I don't think those are the same market, though.
Well, just... Yeah, if I had seen anything that day, it was probably Sudden Death, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, Sudden Death. One of the last Dirty Harry movies.
Yeah.
And actually, Sudden Death had Guns N' Roses in it. That was kind of a selling point, too. They had a cameo.
Oh yeah, the following week, 12 Monkeys came out. I love that movie.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, maybe I'm just getting old, but I look at these movies like just this one month, in December 1995. You got the original Toy Story, Jumanji, Father of the Bride 2, Heat, Golden Eye, Waiting to Exhale, Grumpier Old Men, The American President, Casino, Money Train, Ace Ventura, Sudden Death, Get Shorty. I love Get Shorty. Now, some of these came out like in November or October, but they were still in theaters. Like Get Shorty came out in October. So, I mean, there's just...
So you love Get Shorty. Have you read the book?
No.
That's Elmore Leonard.
Yeah.
Well, I hated the same thing about the movie I hated about the book.
Okay.
It didn't end really.
All right.
It ended with them making a movie of a story that didn't end. Didn't have an actual ending.
Mr. Holland's Opus came out that year. Apollo 13. There are very few movies anymore that I can really say, like, in 30 years, I think people are still going to be watching these. But, man, a lot of those are really good.
Yeah, but in that time, did you really think that we would still be watching them, or we would move on to something better?
I don't know. To be fair, the 90s was an amazing time for films because you get stuff like Seven, Fight Club.
That duck thing, that was Seven.
Yeah, I know. What's in the box? Yeah.
Yeah, when they said Duck Detective, yeah, but the box was Chinese food. Yeah, I watched Seven a lot, and but that's back in the days when we didn't know anything about yeah, we didn't know anything about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey was pretty much starting to be in everything.
Yeah.
There was another movie I loved Kevin Spacey in that was probably around that time too.
What's that?
The Usual Suspects.
Oh, that's a good movie. Yeah, I'm just saying there are a lot of good movies from that time period, and it's just...
Yeah, they weren't restrained. They had no constraint about what social directions or whatever. They weren't... And that's weird because it's Hollywood, and Hollywood always had that kind of bent.
Yeah.
But you see movies geared towards pretty much everybody. They didn't want to lose the money from the opposite political spectrum.
Right.
So they had stuff that catered to them. I really love a lot of John Milius's movies. Like when he got Conan, you gotta watch the documentary Milius. Because Dino De Laurentiis didn't want to let him have one with Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah?
Because Schwarzenegger wasn't a name. Nobody knew it.
Oh.
And Milius's or at least was, pretty much a force of nature. So he told Dino De Laurentiis, when Dino De Laurentiis asked who was going to be the star because he wanted name power,
Yeah.
he said, Dustin Hoffman. Can you picture Dustin Hoffman's coming in?
No.
And Dino De Laurentiis signed off on it right off, without hesitation.
Wow.
But John Milius was always going to put Schwarzenegger in the movie. And John Milius is a man's man, so like you don't see much of his stuff anymore. But well, the original Red Dawn,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to be, when he got his hands on it, it was supposed to be an anti-war movie.
That worked.
Well, the writer, I think it was like a novel or something that they took it from. I'm sure the writer wasn't too happy about it, but John Milius had always wanted to be like a war hero. He wanted to go over in the war. He wanted to fight in the war, but he felt like, like he had just missed Vietnam. You know what I mean? Like he just missed to be able to be in any of the wars. And he wrote I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Oh, Apocalypse Now?
Yeah, he wrote the script for that. He wanted to direct it. That was his baby. And he was best friends in director's school with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. And they told him that they would get that movie made for him. If he couldn't direct it, they would direct it or whatever. And it was, I think, Francis Ford Coppola that ended up directing it. But they were all pretty much thick as thieves. It's funny because John Milius is pretty much a gun nut. So, like, every movie that he signed on for, they had to get him a new gun. And when he was doing Apocalypse Now, and Martin Sheen was reading for him, he made Martin Short read holding a 1911 that was loaded. And Martin Short was all nervous and all that. And that's exactly how he wanted him. He wanted him nervous. I think it's super interesting, and Milius didn't start off as a director. What he did first was he sold a screenplay, Judge Roy Bean, for the highest amount that anyone ever sold a screenplay. I mean, not now, but then.
Yeah.
It was crazy high because he refused to sell it unless he was going to direct it. And they never did let him direct it, but every time they asked, he upped the price. Just kept upping the price because he wanted to direct it, and eventually they just paid the price. But George Lucas's was THX, what is it, THX 3811 or something like that?
Yeah, whatever it is.
Well, that was his like thesis in film school.
Right.
It was their final project, and the teacher wasn't going to let them show it because the class had not all completed their projects, right?
Yeah.
And John Milius got so upset at the teacher But he fucking punched him in the face so he let him show it.
Huh.
It's interesting stories. That scene in Jaws where Shaw's talking about his time in the military,
Yeah.
Navy. Steven Spielberg called John Milius on the phone and said, "I need something here," and John Milius wrote it over the phone. So it's like he's had that kind of man's man voice. Like he had no problem getting into the characters to write those characters. I really, really admire him. He's and then he trusted a banker. And well, he was really good friends with his accountant, really, really good friends with his accountant, and then the accountant ripped him off, and he had a stroke. Yeah, I don't think he's directed anything since his stroke, but the guy who was the showrunner for Rome called him up and had him write some episodes for him so that he'd make something, try to help him get money. And I think that also was a very cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's sad because nowadays in Hollywood, they would just look at him and go, "You're a right-wing nut," and whatever. And he's not a right-wing nut. He likes guns. He believes that a man should be a man. Or at least he conveys that he believes that a man should be a man. But his principles aren't all that way. I find it kind of amusing that people just make that kind of shitty assumption all the time. You know?
Yeah.
John Goodman in The Big Lebowski
Yeah.
was mocking him. They were mocking him with that character. Don't know what that says. I keep thinking you can tell the class of a person by the class of his enemy, right?
I suppose.
Well, if they all start coming out of that woodwork, kind of does say something.
Yeah.
I just love how cocky he is. I love that if he gets an idea to tell a story, he's going to tell the story his way, no matter who says what. That's why you don't see much of his stuff nowadays.
Probably.
Yeah, I loved watching that documentary, so. So I've listened to a lot more of that book by Gaslight,
Yeah.
and I think that you would enjoy it. There are things that we could tear down about it, obviously. I think all books have some kind of flaw that you can tear them down over. Uh, this one's is that it kind of jumps around in time, and it's not written in first person, but because it jumps around in time, the way it jumps around in time,
Yeah.
it lets you know that the main character either isn't going to die or isn't going to die during the main story.
No.
But it's an interesting story. It takes place in. Actually, it kind of takes place in a couple of different timelines, but most of it takes place, I would say, the 1870s, 1880s. The main character is the second son of Alan Pinkerton,
Okay.
and a lot of the Pinkerton history and Pinkerton mythos is in it, and some of it's canceled out or whatever. I'm not sure. Like, this book has kept me in a place where I'm not sure if it's supposed to be historical fiction or this alternate history where like alternate history with a tinge of fantasy. There's a lot of questions as to what exactly the genre is. For the most part, it's him trying. This guy is trying to find a particular person,
Okay.
and it starts off. He's tracking down this woman that knows who the particular person that he's tracking down is. Now I'm going to spoil it, so not that it's an overly big spoiler because you know kind of right off, but I still don't want to take it out of its realm. But he's an investigator in a time that they really don't have a whole lot for investigative techniques. They're just starting to develop them. The Pinkerton Agency created the Rogues Gallery, which they anytime they found a criminal and they prosecuted that criminal, they would take a picture of them. And some of the pictures that we know of today historically are from that Rogues Gallery. And so it employs a lot of that, but also it goes back in time to the Civil War because that's relevant in the character he's hunting down. So it's really, really steampunk era, kind of Mark Hodder-ish.
Okay.
I think it's got a little bit better of a voice to it. Like I said, it's not first person, but it follows mainly one character. It does hop back and forth. There's a criminal element. There's your, like My brain's not working. Like I'm actually, I think, more ill than I was last time. So
Yeah. I promise you didn't catch anything from me.
no, or Jake. No, it was kind of a weird cold today. So I'm thinking that has something to do with it because I was out in it mostly in just a sweatshirt. So yeah, like it kind of has the feel of uh, the steampunk Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
See, this is what I'm saying. If I called that and that movie that got Jonathan Taylor Thomas in it, like it's a big thing tonight because I'm forgetting names that I never should be forgetting. You know?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I think I saw that movie too.
Robert Downey Jr. was the Sherlock Holmes I was thinking of, and normally I would just go Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes. But
You can't do that. Well, I mean, yeah, the Guy Ritchie ones. Didn't Guy Ritchie direct those?
it's possible, but like my mind goes, it's Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. But for some reason, I couldn't come up with Robert Downey Jr.'s name for a minute there.
Yeah, directed by Guy Ritchie.
It makes sense because that's the type of thing he would direct. But yeah, like that whole feel, like when he's fighting in the shipyard against that really huge dude.
Yeah.
There's some criminal element in it that kind of seems like that, and the bad guy's a little bit Moriarty-ish, not dead out Moriarty-ish. That's kind of a weird word to say, but
Yeah.
but it's enough to feel that kind of familiarity that I don't even know what to call it right now. But it's got that familiar period and a familiar kind of criminal element and and then you got this you got this suicide that at first it seems like it's a suicide and then her head turns up one place and her body parts turn up someplace else, so it's not really a suicide anymore.
Not really.
But she's completely relevant to the story except for the main character's story has nothing to do with her. So he like actually was trying to get her so that he could question her about someone she knew. And she jumps off a bridge in the beginning. But then later on, instead of her body turning up in the Thames, her head turns up at one place, her legs another place. Well, I think it's a while before her legs actually turn up. You get the idea.
Yeah.
So it's interesting on those levels. And it goes like I love the history of it, so when it goes into descriptions in the Civil War and mentions of the balloon force that they had in the Civil War, that it's not a real common knowledge thing. It's another interesting aspect that it pulls up because most people think of the Civil War as just cap and ball fighting. Well, and brother against brother, obviously. I really should be inking with a brush. I can't ink with the markers, the alcohol markers. I can mark with the multi-liners because I can paint over them, but if I just paint directly over the alcohol markers, they'll smear.
All right.
And yes, I could put a coating of fluid matte medium over it, but if I do, it will smear the blacks. It's really weird, actually, when you come to think of it that way. Same thing with pencil. I'm perfectly comfortable with pencil, but painting over pencil just tends to smear it. Or maybe it will work with colored pencil. Guess I got nothing to lose. It's just a headshot, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to run this stream overly long. I think I'm going to set it up because there's no way I'm going to paint it all today. But I did pick a smaller, kind of try to pick a smaller idea so that I could do it in pretty much one shot when I'm painting it. So that's the plan for the next one. I guess Tuesday I already have something out there to work on. So you picked it. You looking good?
I think so. What I always find interesting watching you is that you'll get to a point where I think it looks good, and I'm thinking that's where I'd stop. And then you keep on going and make it look way better. So, yeah.
I think perseverance is part of the key to good artwork anyway. I think that's one of the purposes that I started this channel for, because I think a lot of people think that you come across a person on the internet and they can do a portrait in 2 hours. You know, so you expect that you should be able to do a portrait in 2 hours or something like that. But in reality, that guy or woman has like 30 years experience before they could do that, you know?
Right.
So 30 years experience that's not counted into that time, but it's actually part of that time. So part of the reason that I wanted to start this channel and experiment with different methods of painting is to show people that, well, first of all, like, I have my method that I paint with some acrylics, right? And I changed it because I read like Michael Whelan's method. That's not to say that Michael Whelan's method's the right method or whatever. It's to say that I wanted to experiment with something different, that I might find an attachment that works better for me, you know, because that's the thing. Michael Whelan's method is not the same as Greg Staples' method, which is not the same as Dan DeSantos' method. But people, they get into the habit of thinking that they're gonna, it's like instant gratification or something. They're gonna either just learn a secret and know it, and then all of a sudden be able to do anything that they wanted to do because they learned the secret. But that's not the way it is. It's years of perfecting whatever works for you. When Greg Staples got into the business, he got in through Simon Bisley, and he worked at the studio, the 2000 AD studio, and he was doing Slain and he was doing Judge Dredd, and they were calling him basically a Bisley copy. And he wanted to stretch out and do something that's not a Bisley copy. And obviously, when you're an artist, you want to be your own artist. You want to be your own person. But the house style, the methods that most of them are already using, was very similar to what Simon Bisley was using. And they all were painting from darks to lights, which is, kind of the way I learned to do it too.
Yeah.
Greg Staples has a different method. This is kind of what I want to try. I don't have the paper because he uses hot press watercolor paper, and I don't think I have hot press. It's not very difficult to get a hold of, but the kids are looking to get me a Christmas present that's cheap. So I'm like, hey, guess what? You want to get me a Christmas present that's cheap? There's a certain kind of watercolor paper I want. So that's kind of my thinking, is that after the holidays I'll do that, but I'm gonna move around practicing with it with this. So I'm getting the drawing in the value scale here, and this blister board, which is not what he's using. But then Tuesday I'll tape this down. See if I can find a different clipboard to tape it down to. I like to have it on the clipboard when it's taped down so that I can actually turn it. We're taping it down so that when I put the water base on it and it wrinkles, it'll have already be stretched tight, and we'll go back to that when it relaxes. I might have to experiment with this and see if I can find some weather fluid. The weather fluid will melt the wax in the pencil.
Okay.
And it allows it to blend smoother. But it also keeps the wax from defeating the paint. But that's where that matte medium comes in right now, is because I don't have that kind of paper. I should be able to do that with the matte medium, as long as it doesn't smear the pencil. So and that's why I'm thinking about using that method. That method, for anyone who's curious now, is to use a Q-tip with weather fluid on it, or fingernail polish remover works the same.
Okay.
And you're basically using it as a blender, so you color over that colored pencil with it, like you're coloring with the Q-tip with the weather fluid or whatever the solvent is. And it eats the wax away and gives it a smoother surface. I haven't done that method either, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I was watching the Great Beard Studios, and Kelsey was on there, and he was drawing. Their challenge was to draw in crayon. And they were drawing like Western characters in crayon, and I told him that that's what Bill Sienkiewicz does. Like he'll do that with colored pencil and stuff, and maybe that would work with crayon because crayon's very waxy. And he set his picture on fire on purpose.
Okay.
It ended up looking really cool, actually, because first he, tried to use a lighter on it instead of lighter fluid to burn the wax, and that wasn't really working. It just smoothed the wax out where he could, mess with it with his fingers, manipulate it because he heated up the wax. But he tried all kinds of other stuff and set his picture on fire, and basically it looks like an old beaten wanted poster now.
That's kind of cool.
So it's one of those things where perseverance makes the peace. Like if he'd have stopped anywhere before he stopped, it would not have looked good. It would not have been something that they want to be proud of,
Yeah.
But because he didn't stop, he pulled it off, and he pulled it off well. And I think there's a little bit of madness to it because I think he was really like, oh, I'm not even really seriously worried about this picture or whatever, but he'll auction that picture off and people will buy it. Because that's the way they do it there, but I just found it interesting that when you're talking about you're watching me and you're like, I would have stopped there, and I keep going. Well, it's the same thing. It's that whole perseverance makes the picture thing. It's like I know I can make it better. And can I make it better like this? Can I make it better like that? As long as you're making it better. And sometimes it looks worse before it looks better.
That's true.
So I think of it like tattoos heal. They always go through this ugly stage. They always go through a stage that's flaking and peeling and looks like it's sunburns and chapped lips and everything else. And it's when they come out the other side that you know how well that tattoo actually turned out. Well, I expect an ugly phase. I've been painting long enough to expect a phase of the painting in which I hate it and don't want to ever see it again. But persevere and end up with something decent. And I have a client that became a very good friend, who's actually the one whose son died that I tried to do a bit of a fundraiser for. She has seen me throw a picture out and pull the picture out of the trash. And it turned out to be a success when I went back to it. It's one of the ways I learned that it's really perseverance that's the key. Like, I believe anybody could do what I do. And they may not be able to do it the way I do it, but they can achieve the same results if they persevere with what they know is working for them. Or they they persevere until they find something that works for them. And I'm pretty fearless overall when it comes to painting because, well, as you know from the warrior woman, winter warrior woman, if I don't like something, I can just paint over it. And yeah, I'm sure someday somebody can analyze that painting and see what was underneath of it if they really want to. But it's the perseverance that made it what it is. And that's always the advice I give everyone. So started this channel to prove that even if you don't know a medium, don't quit and you'll get somewhere. The more you do, the more you add. And you're going to add. Sometimes you're going to not be happy with something, and then you'll make an adjustment and go, oh, wow, no, that does work. You know? But not if you quit. And there's no way that's going to happen if you don't do it. I'd argue it's the same thing for stories. How many times do we have a story that we just gave up on, but if we keep pushing, it's really a pretty good story. Man, no, I've had a few of them. Your submission history is proof like that, too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes you've pulled the story or gotten a rejection on a story or whatever and right away gone back into rewriting it or whatever, but you've also just said, you know what, I'm just going to persevere and put it back out there, and it's got accepted. So
some of that with the markets, you just, you know, there's all kinds of reasons as to why you can get a rejection, and it might literally have nothing to do with your own story.
right. Some of them are stupid.
Yeah,
like names. It could be a name.
Yep.
It could be the editor just broke up with his girlfriend and she's got the name of your lead character or whatever. So
or
Karen.
they like it, but you don't have enough of a social media presence. You know, or
yeah, that's stupid.
I agree. I find that ridiculous.
Writers
and I understand why they do that, but I don't think it's a good idea.
Well, I think when I guess it's the eternal argument, right? When you enter into a contract with a publishing house, whether it's publishing through a magazine or publishing a novel or publishing an anthology, which is basically a novel full of different writers' works.
Yeah.
You're getting a percentage, and actually it's a fairly small percentage.
Yeah.
And they're getting a big percentage, but part of that big percentage is for selling the book.
Well, yeah, that's so. Oh wait.
Oh, sorry, talk because.
No, I'll just wait.
What's that?
But so my wife works for a guy that publishes a magazine for children's ministries, and he has a small publishing company, and he'll publish people's books, and he takes 50% of the profits of these books. And the reason why he does that is because people will buy the books because he has access to, like, he's already established an audience. And so therefore authors are benefiting.
And he's
from,
marketing them.
Yeah. He's providing an audience that they can tap into. So it's mutually beneficial. But when you have someone who basically wants you to bring the audience to, it's like, well,
right. Why would I even need you?
Yeah. And
like
I don't know why you'd share.
Do my own art. I don't need you. Do my own art. I might need somebody to do some lettering on a cover or copy edit, or you know what I mean. But I can hire out just as well as they can.
Yeah, I don't quite understand why any big name author stays with a major publishing company.
Well, because they can be lazy. They already have the name. They don't have to worry about going and traveling to sell it, and
that's true.
You know, making a presence. And because it's already already have a big name, the publishing companies actually put more money into advertising for them.
Yeah.
That's why the little guys don't get a very big budget, because they don't have a very big name yet.
Yeah. But some of that stuff, I mean, just knowing, the more you know about the industry and the more you understand that, like, you really shouldn't take rejection personally, because they may not like your politics. You may have posted something on Facebook. They may even have interpreted it wrong, but they decided to go dig. I mean, there is a publisher that I had looked, like, because they were paying pretty good money per word, and I got to looking at their submission guidelines, and they had way too many red flags. But one of them, I was like, nope, because I'm going to change this slightly, because I don't want any publisher to think that I don't know. I don't need people thinking I'm bad. You know, I don't need to burn any bridges, even if I don't plan on crossing any of them. But this place was like, they have set asides for special interest group. Whatever. Like, you know, that's kind of typical. I mean, it's not a good sign, but whatever. I get it. But then it goes into, let me look it up real fast. But I'm going to look it up real fast, then I'm going to change some things on the fly. Put that one. Yeah, here it is. It's loading. Okay. So, all American citizens / permanent residents and or those who are living within the settler-defined border of the land colonially known as America.
What?
Yeah. I was like, no. Yeah. I don't want to submit. I don't want to buy it. I don't want to read their stuff. I'm like, I'm done. Like, you want to start talking like that? Nope.
Well, yeah, but we're not colonially known.
I know.
We were accepted in 1785 or 1781 or something like that by France as a country.
Yeah.
Not a colony, not a known colony, colonially known.
Well, I think they're trying to say, you know, because there were people that were here before Europeans, and, you know, so it's what the colonizers call it America.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's one of those stupid theories that doesn't include the fact that every single country was invaded and conquered by somebody. Some of them, that's how they became a country in the first place.
I know. And
I'm
it's
not
just
talking to those who know. I'm talking to those who probably don't realize it.
Oh, okay. Well,
or probably don't care.
But Man, I read that and I'm just like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't submit. Like, I don't want them having my stuff. I mean, it's just one of those things. I was like, that to me sounds incredibly divisive, and I don't want my stuff contributing to that. Just, I'm a small time, pathetic writer, whatever. I don't care. My refusal to submit won't hurt anybody, and I know that. But if we keep playing that game,
Yeah,
it's
but
just going to get worse and worse and worse.
You're not holding off submitting to force them to do anything.
No,
You're holding off submitting because you don't agree with them and don't want them to produce your stuff. That's a totally valid, that's a totally valid voting with your checkbook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's not a petty thing. It's saying, like, maybe I'm not going to be Stephen King because of this, but I don't care. I'm not writing to be Stephen King. I'm writing to be me. I'm writing my stories, the things that rattle around in my brain. And I think that not enough people do that. Not enough people say, I'm not accepting it.
Yeah.
I'm not accepting those terms. I'm not accepting what you're saying.
What I think is funny is that, so I'm a member of several groups on Facebook for submission calls, and
As am I, but I don't speak in them.
yeah, neither do I. At least not normally.
Yeah, but very rarely.
I've seen some of them where we're like, look, if you don't like these politics, great, scroll on, which I think is appropriate. Like, I don't think they...
Because everybody has the right to whatever their opinion is. Everybody, whether you like it or not. So, yeah.
Right. But some of that stuff, I'm just like, yeah, I don't... Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where I definitely am willing to not sell to people if I think if it's going to contribute to something I don't want it to contribute to. I'm okay with that.
I want to be inclusive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to alienate somebody who has a different political opinion or belief or whatever. I've said many times, I'm a headbanger, old-fashioned headbanger, which means I'll fight for your right to like what I don't. And I think that respect should be granted me also. So I don't want to alienate people, but I don't want to hang out where people are alienating me either. And I've noticed that quite a bit, that there's behaviors that's perfectly acceptable if you have a certain persuasion, but not if you don't. Well, that's not going to win you any new people. What that's going to do is just beef up your echo chamber.
Yeah.
And if, that's what you're doing, hey, yeah. Who am I to tell you no? But as far as if you want me in that, then that's who I am to tell you no. I don't agree with it. I don't support it. I don't want to jump into it. I'm not going to be all like, hey, I'm going to down somebody because they, believe this or they believe that. No, I disagree entirely. I have personal beliefs, and then I have overall beliefs, which that might sound weird, but like I have beliefs that are Christian beliefs that all, people on my side of the spectrum may not all agree with, because, like, I think at heart I'm pretty much a libertarian, which because of the non-aggressive principle, which don't fuck with me and I won't fuck with you. I won't start anything. So, like, that doesn't say I'm not going to finish anything, but I'm not going to start anything. And I really do agree with that principle, and I agree with the principle of small government. I don't think the government needs to be in your business. I don't think the government should be raising your kids. I don't think the government should be deciding for us what we should or shouldn't be able to do unless it is literally physically dangerous to people.
Well, that's why they say everything causes harm. Your
Yeah,
words are more are violence, and
yeah, but that's not true. Like I'm talking about what my beliefs are. My beliefs are only if that's a true statement, not you're trying to make that true because you want me to buy into your bullshit. Understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like I don't think anybody should be out there telling anybody you can't think this, you can't believe that. Now, if it's factually wrong, I mean, yeah, you can believe it if you want if it's factually wrong, but it's factually wrong. You can address something and say that's factually wrong without saying you have an invalid opinion. Like, okay, your opinion is factually wrong, but if that's the way you feel, you can feel however you want. Whether it's a truth or not, that's a whole different matter. I don't believe in telling someone they can't have an opinion. Their opinion isn't valid at all. Because as opinion, it's not stated as fact, it's stated as opinion. Facts can be wrong. Opinions can be formed on invalid facts or misconstrued facts or non-facts, you know? And I think all too many people are puffed up on their own opinions.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can have your own opinion, but you're puffed up on it because it's based on poor information. But still, you can only formulate an opinion based on the information you have, right?
Right. I gotta eat it.
What? Wow, it's not been a very popular show tonight, huh?
Well, I mean, it's Saturday night. Who knows? It used to be TV shows would go to Friday and Saturday night to die.
I'm gonna mute myself so I can do this pencil sharpener without driving anybody batty.
Oh, you don't. Here, I can make the noise for you. There. That's a pretty good impression.
I just was trying to be considerate this time.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I really wish I could use the alcohol markers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would make this job much quicker. What I really should have done was just file the brush and ink.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do that. That reached the point there. Pull off my inking and stuff right. And yeah, this is a good one to start off with. The sable. Now, of course, Higgins black.
I don't know why, but it always reminds me of Huggies. I guess it's the G's and the H. I don't know.
You say, I don't know why either. That was odd.
What?
And that place, for some reason, just didn't want to take the Higgins. This here is an expensive brush. Well, I guess expensive is relative, but for the type of brush it is, and the use that I'll have for it, yeah. It's not often I would spend this much on brush. But that is a relative statement because some of the brushes that I looked at that I didn't purchase were like $400 or more for one brush, and
Wow.
this one is a lot less than that.
The brush is going to be $400. You should paint the picture for me and possibly perform oral sex. I'm just saying, because that's ridiculous.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm going to buy a brush because I don't want somebody to paint the picture for me.
Well, I guess, but I'm just saying for
Because
$400.
if I wanted to paint the picture for me, I would actually pay an artist to do it, and $400 is on the cheap end for a real artist to do
I know.
a painting. Yes, but other people might not know.
Yeah.
You keep saying that. I'm not necessarily just talking to you. Matter of fact, specifically, I'm not just talking to you. But when you say something and it gives me an opening like that, it's like gives me a place to say something without just being out of the blue preaching about something. I can say something that's relative to the conversation.
Well, it's kind of like there was a kid yesterday who needs to do some makeup work for me. And some of the assignments that he needs to do, I have to unlock, or I got to put a password in for him. And so he shows up to my class late. He has to go down. He's like, I want to do my work down in the counselor's office. It's like in the counselor's office where they can't unlock anything and they don't know any passwords and they can't look any of them up. Yeah. It's like, well,
So you don't
okay,
want
just
to do any work.
yeah, I know. I'm like, and the only reason why I said that is I want him to know that I know he's not doing anything. Like, I don't care. It's his life. You know, if he wants to retake the class because he fails it, that's on him. But, you know, I don't want him thinking I'm an idiot.
Right.
So sometimes when you say those things, then I'm like, I know. It's because it's the same need on my part, I suppose. I don't want to. It's like, I don't want you to think I'm an idiot.
No, I don't think you're an idiot. I'm letting you know right now that it's not that. It's because I've got an opening to say something that might make a difference or help with somebody else.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just know why I always say, I know, man. I'm just letting you know. That's why.
Okay.
It's an insecurity on my part, I suppose.
Yeah, I actually probably would assume you know before I assume you don't.
Well, that's nice.
Well, we've already discussed that you've already had some art instruction.
Yep.
So that's often why I would ask you something that's related to it. And if I'm asking you something that's related to it art instruction-wise, you kind of got to assume that I think you know what you're talking about.
No.
Because I wouldn't ask, unless I'm doing a video where I'm showing how dumb people are, which I don't do. I don't ask people who I don't think know the answer. Sometimes I ask people things that I don't know the answer to. I know, doesn't seem like it's possible. I only seem like a know-it-all. It's my specialty to annoy the shit out of people. Now let this hidden black dry. Now I'm gonna run some colored pencil over it.
You know?
Well, part of it to blend it a little bit. Pull up some watercolor paper because I couldn't bring myself to just leave this sable brush in the water at the price that it costs for a sable brush. They all cost over $20 for a single brush. But some of them cost like 40 and 50.
Yeah, I've seen those, and I just was like,
around
I never.
$400, but it's fucking pretty well up there for me.
I just some of that stuff. I'm like, you're not made out of gold. It should not be. I said $400 for a brush. There is nothing in that brush that's worth that much. If there is, we should start making brushes. I don't care. Like, they're not complicated.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, there are plenty of brushes, but not all of them are the same. There is definitely a difference in the higher quality and the lower quality brushes, and I'm not just talking about in the money that you pay for something. I'm talking about in the strength of the ferrule, or you're not going to just go and get sable, dude. You're not going to just go and grab some sable or mink or whatever. You're very limited on what you're going to be able to get a hold of to make the brush. And it depends on what you want. I mean, the effect that you want, because some of them are very coarse brushes so that you get a texture effect, and some of them are very, very, very smooth brushes like this sable. That's a very, very smooth brush. That is why comic artists forever have used them for actually lining the work. Like, I'm using it for spotting some blacks, but that's only because I'm intending to paint something further later on.
Yeah.
But if I was inking, I don't know if I'd go into just kind of ink with a sable brush, because it takes a very steady hand because it's a very smooth brush.
Okay.
That's something that takes a lot of practice. The guys like Gary Martin and John Buscema used to do. Like, it's pretty amazing when I see somebody that can pull that off too. So
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I can be impressed with the guy's steady hands, but I just
Yeah, but
nope.
they're sent here with a brush that is so sensitive that you can slip very easily using. You know, that's the thing that I guess you're maybe overlooking.
Well,
because your hand could really, really slip easily because the smoothness of the paper and the smoothness of the brush.
I guess it's the middle class, middle-aged dad in me. I just it's like
well, yeah. So we're talking about professional materials, not something that you get for your kids to practice with.
Oh, I know. I still just
unless they're trying to get into comic books, then
I know. I just.
But these days, everybody's doing digital, so I just like. I don't ever think I'll outgrow the traditional. There's a sense of satisfaction in it, and a sense that you can complete it by persevering. That I don't get the same with digital. I can't get the same effects and all that with digital.
Yeah, I just started. Like I picked up an Apple. Well, it's not an Apple pencil, but it's designed to be used on an Apple, but and whatever. And like I'm playing around with it just to kind of see what and because it's only like $15, and the program Procreate, the school has a license for, so it's on my iPad anyway. And,
yeah, it has to be an iPad though.
Well, again, it's the school's iPad, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
Well, no, that's what I want, dude. I want to get some Procreate, but I'm a poor artist, starving artist, not so starving, but not wealthy.
Well, the only reason why I have an iPad is because the school bought them. Well, I don't even know if the school bought them or if they just got them. Because
our schools got them, but they got them kind of like a loan, where we don't own them or they don't own them. They're there, but Apple maintains them, and they can withdraw them or switch them out or update them or whatever at any time.
That's kind of how this is. I'm just saying that.
Yep, we're on the same page.
Yeah, I don't know if the teacher iPads were just thrown in as a a bonus, like because we bought iPads for all the students. So I don't know if that was one of those things where it's like, if you buy them for the students, the teachers get one too. Because a lot of companies will do stuff like that. And I'm not part of that decision making on the iPads, so I don't know, but I've done book.
You can actually find out pretty easy.
Well, yeah, I'm sure I could. I can just go out.
Really
I don't know if it's that important, but
right, yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
I didn't want to go down that road. I was just saying, like, our schools are. I know how our schools are only because they started that program when our oldest was in there. They learned by giving them to my oldest's age group that there's a lot of mistakes you can make doing that.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, our oldest decided that, because this was also the era of, just the beginning of the era of the identity politics and all that crap, that he could just say, I don't want to do this, and they're like, okay. And they just let him sit on his iPad and play video games and everything else. And I'm like, why would you do that? Because he's not going to do his classwork if he can just play video games. But see, the thing is that he did it under the impression that he was still going to graduate. And they were doing it as under the impression of, it's your decision to make, man. If you want to You want to be stupid and fail yourself out of it.
Well, part of
And I
that.
didn't realize that until one of his teachers got a hold of me, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is not happening.
Well,
I made him make up stuff so that he could graduate. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it was totally irresponsible of them just to give them computers and say, "I'll do whatever you want with them."
well, again, there are controls that we have on ours. I can lock things up and limit things and all kinds of stuff, and I do that to some extent. But then also some of it, it's like, like I'll tell the kid whatever, I'll contact the parent, and it comes down to, do I want to have a big disruption that disrupts the entire class because one kid won't do what he's supposed to do? Or do I, I've made the attempt, I've made the contact, all right, you've decided you're going to fail. When you decide to not fail, I'll be here for you.
Well, see, if you're contacting the parent, that's different. But it took a long time for somebody to contact me.
Well,
and when they did, there was quite a bit of change.
Well, I think I had a parent. So I was on my way to lunch, and my phone rang, and I was like, God, all right, whatever. So I answered it, and they were asking about this kid's grade, and I said, "Oh, well, let me look it up." I'm looking it up, and they're like, "I'm going to put you on speakerphone," which was like, oh God. So they put me on speakerphone with a parent, which I thought was incredibly rude, especially during my lunch, because that's technically I could probably get somebody in trouble for that, but whatever. And the parent wants to know why the kid's failing, and I'm like, well, he's got over 50 missing assignments. That's kind of why. And I'm like, well, why'd you let it get that far without ever contacting me? So I looked it up in my contact log, and I was like, no, I emailed you on this date and on this date. And, well, I never got those emails. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if an email is undeliverable, it'll message me that it's undeliverable. If you're not checking that email, or, you gave the school your BS email account that you use to sign up for discounts and whatnot, and you never actually check, that's not my fault. Like, I know that.
You gave me the contact you with.
Yeah. I mean, like, I gave the school all my contact information. Actually, my wife gave her contact information. We check. You can look up students' grades on our grade book. It's all online. You can check it. You can have notifications when updates are made. All kinds of stuff. And you have these parents who are, "Whoa, how was I supposed to know?" And I'm like, at this point in time, I don't know, because apparently you're stuck in the 1980s where you had a landline and that was it. I don't know.
Have you ever seen your son doing homework?
Well, he tells me that you don't have any, and I'm like, so your kid's lying. I think we've established where the problem is. Well, see, that's the difference between, like, for me. Well, I can tell you right now, my boys will be able to tell you this. I assume it's not that I necessarily, because I know my kids are pretty good kids, right? But I also know they're kids, and therefore they will lie. They will do something stupid. They will try to cover it up. Like, that's just being a human being. If I thought my wife had popped out some immaculate little creature who was perfect, I'd be wondering if she had contact with God. So, because it's not coming from me. But a lot of parents act like their kids, my child would never lie. Like, yeah, you're delusional.
Right?
If your child would never lie, your child is a psychopath.
Like, Yeah. You're just,
That's
you
just
can't, you can't accept the truth. That's what it is.
yeah. And I don't know, a lot of teachers don't like teaching the freshmen, and I get it, but I just look at them like, well, you're a freshman. Like, you need to get out of this, but you're still a freshman. You know, you need to get rid of that whole 8th grade mentality that you're still clinging to, and you need to become, you need to become a high school kid. So I have a lot of patience for these kids. A lot of other teachers are like, oh, they're terrible. And I'm like, of course they're terrible, because they're mostly 8th graders still. Like, it's our job to kind of fix that. That's all you do.
Right?
I don't see why.
And why are they terrible?
Well, it's just one of those things where it's
I'm just saying, like, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
They're human beings that just, like, do you remember when you were a freshman in high school? Were you a perfect little saint? Like, no. So why do you think the kids should be? But that's just me and my...
I was never a perfect little saint.
Oh, no, there was I.
Freshman in high school, grown up, adult now.
I do find it funny that
I try a lot harder now to be a better person, but
yeah. Oh,
back then.
So last night, my father had bought tickets to go see Mannheim Steamroller, and then he won 2 more tickets. So he offered them to me and my wife. And again, we've heard of this all our lives, and we thought, sure, we'll go see it. So super awesome. And then afterward, we got some ice cream.
It's so weird. I've never heard of that.
And
I like TSO and Symphony North,
but yeah, I would say I've never heard of Symphony North, but Trans-Siberian Orchestra, it's kind of similar, sort of, maybe.
Well, Symphony North is basically Peter Aurelian.
Yeah.
Who, he's a singer, but he also wrote the Dream Theater version of Clockwork Angels.
Yeah.
Like, it's not Clockwork Angels, it's the Dream Theater novel. He was the one that wrote that. He knew a whole bunch of those guys, but he's also a singer. He trained with the same vocal coach as Jeff Tate.
Yeah.
From Queens, right?
All right.
So when Paul, whatever his name is from TSO, died,
yeah.
Peter Aurelian formed Symphony North to kind of fill that gap, to do Christmas story type music and keep the idea going. Basically, TSO was formed of the remnants of Sabotage.
Yeah.
John Oliva, and after Chris Oliva died, I think actually Chris Oliva was in part of it before he died. But after he died, like, he did Sarajevo 9/11. That's the guitars there. That's Chris Oliva.
Yeah.
But it was actually performed by Alex Skolnick from Testament.
Yeah.
Because Chris Oliva died. Have you ever heard Streets, a rock opera?
No.
No?
Nope.
All right. So I think you need to, because it's very Pink Floyd-y, Rushy type, but it's a story. It's a rock opera. It's a story about a rock musician that started selling drugs to buy a guitar so that he could become somebody. And the fame hit him really, really fast, and it was a little bit too much for him, and he started fighting with his bandmates. But like, it's a story that was written by the guy that started TSO. And when John and Chris Oliva were visiting him one day, they come across it in his desk, and they were like, "Do you mind if we do this?" Because I think he wrote it as an opera or something. He was like, "Do you mind if we do this as a rock opera?" And I think Chris started the album after it, but they didn't complete the whole thing. Some of the songs on there, Alex Skolnick from Testament filled in. So that's kind of, I almost tattooed John Oliva.
Really?
Yeah, I knew. I got a good friend of mine, Chris, that was Chris Oliva's one of his best friends, and he knew John, and he got some tattoo work from me, and I really loved their work. So I told him, like, if he wants to do a memory piece with his brother, you tell me and I'll do it. You know what I mean? And there was some obstacle that happened, and I ended up moving. But yeah, he was going to, just never got finished. It never went anywhere. It came close, just never got there.
Sure. Anyway.
No, you need to hear that. You need to hear that album. I need to make.
Well, I've got it up on my laptop right now. Okay.
What's that?
I literally looked it up while you were talking. It's literally ready to be enjoyed tomorrow, because I doubt I'll be doing it tonight. But anyway, so
my wife and I actually got together over that album. I used to listen to it all the fucking time.
Right. But anyway,
I'm gonna sharpen this pencil real quick and do the last couple of scribbles and call it a night.
all right.
So yeah, I'm gonna mute it for a minute.
I figured. Aha! I can say whatever I want. You can't stop me. Anyway. Now, my father was, so he took us to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and we're having ice cream afterward. And then I was talking about the boys, and my son has this, or he was talking to his mom about how his senior year he could only take a half day. We just didn't have any classes to offer him. And I knew that was just BS. Like, I didn't know. Yeah. So, but my father just starts grinning. He's like, "Oh, so you're saying that he's not working up to his potential?" I'm like, "No, he's not." It's kind of frustrating, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, I get it. Because same thing with me. Again, I wasn't perfect. I didn't expect my kids to be perfect. Right. I don't know why. These other people just get so...
Like, I didn't name any of my kids after me because I didn't have to either live up to my name or outlive my name, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted them to be their own person, their own people. And, I've always told them too, like, they're talking about going into the job market and all that, and I'm like, something you love. Doesn't matter what it is, I'll back you. Choose something you love, because if you choose something you love, it's not a job. You get satisfaction even when you don't get all the respect or pay or whatever you think you deserve. You get some satisfaction in knowing that you did something you love.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that only do it for love, but
Yeah.
that should be a great deciding factor, because if you work a job for 50 years and you fucking hate that job every single day of that 50 years, what have you got? Because the money's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be able to save some of it, but you don't have the money that made it worth it to do that. But if you live the life that you enjoyed, and you live the life where you did something that you felt you added value to, and that made you feel like you were special, like you were the one for that job, or then what you have is a lot of memories of success. And you may not have all kinds of money, but you'll have all kinds of memories of things that you made happen, things that worked because you made them happen. You got anything ready for Sunday?
Not yet. Well, maybe.
Yeah, because nobody wants to read edits. I've got ideas, and I've got new research into the period and characters, and period and characters that lived in that period that did the same thing or near the same thing. So I'm kind of excited to get into that, but I haven't been able to open it up and start reading it because, stuff been hectic.
I have something. I thought I was going to finish last week, and then I got the idea for the rejection story, called that, and forgot to finish it. Just got too busy, so maybe I will have something for tomorrow. And I know, yeah.
Story?
Well, yeah, the story that I had last week, the rejection story. But this one,
the flash fiction.
Yeah.
Or very short fiction.
Yes. Well, it's like 1,200 words, but yeah. But
they
rejection story is kind of funny.
When I sold the Loose Goose, it was a 1,200 word limit at that incredible word rate, right?
Right.
So I'm just saying that's exactly what that word count was, and they considered that flash.
Well, I'm just there's kind of a range. I mean, it's basically some people cut off flash at 1,000.
Yeah, that was the original cutoff, but people, I think, I don't know if it's wish fulfillment and they get into the editor's office or editor's seat or whatever, but I've noticed a lot of them being less strict on that limit for it, or confusing it with microfiction. They're not really strict at all, or they're like, oh, it's only 350 words or whatever. Like, well, that's a different type.
Yeah, oh man. So, you know that the publication that I was doing proofreading for? That
Yep.
Yeah. I'm still that one story it's over the word limit, like by 500 words. And there are notes from the judges, from the head judge to the writer. And I'm like, so I don't know. I don't exactly know the process. I don't know if it was like, all right, like this wins, this gets in, but we need you to fix something. Like I don't get it. I mean, I don't.
Well, with Wyatt, if you trim X amount of words, Jake is great at that, to be able to trim those words and then still have the same content. Just kind of reform a sentence or.
Right, but this is like. I mean, this is like a not a suggestion on just, hey, you need to cut something, but or cut so many words. This was like a suggestion for a detail. And I really don't understand how that works within the parameters of the submission process. And I'm just that just, it bothers me. Because I don't see how you can A, go over the word limit, or B, get help from the edit from the judge. Because like when I had when they consider the farthest one that I ever got, and I got feedback.
Well, it's a different type of publication too, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, it was
Maybe
just
they
like
need content,
The feedback I got was like 2 sentences, which is cool and all, but really it was like part of it was that this was a tough thing, tough whatever, and a tough market this particular time, and that I needed more detail in this one spot. That's it, and that's the kind of advice that was given in the document. And I'm like, wait, so I don't know. Just frustrates me. Sometimes knowing things does not make it easier. But that's also why I have that wonderful I have a file, spreadsheet where I have submitted to all kinds of places, because just you can't stick with one market, only one market.
Well, and I was going to say, like, have you thought about writing to that market? Is it like a semi-pro market, or you said something about a contest, maybe?
I just don't want to name anything.
Well, I'm not trying to get you to name anything. I'm asking you vague questions that are relevant. So it doesn't require you naming anything to tell me.
Okay. Good.
If you have submitted to that market or are interested in submitting to that market. It doesn't require you to tell me anything about that market.
Okay.
Other than the basic stuff like Is it a pro rate, just a contest thing, semi-pro? You see what I mean?
Right.
Those questions I don't think are very personal questions as far as that goes.
Well, it's a contest. So
Okay.
and
I
therefore
knew that one story was a contest. I just didn't know if they were all contest stories or.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, that clarifies a lot right there.
I mean, it's just, and you know, whatever. I don't know. I don't want to ascribe any kind of.
Oh, somebody commented.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Efrain.
It's kind of like
You showing up when just about the time that we're going to sign off for tonight. So, Efrain, I don't know. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. I didn't look at the private chat either because I was trying to finish that.
right.
So I'm setting this up, and it's going to be, the head sketch is going to be painted on Tuesday. But the person that won the drawing never claimed the picture, so there will be a new drawing. So you're perfectly viable to enter if you want to. I'm not going to instruct you either way, but you're welcome to. I know that you live in a different country. I might have to charge postage, but if you want the picture, postage is a small price to pay because you're not paying for the picture, just the postage. And this is the last little bit before I'm set up for treats. Well, I'm not going to do that tonight because we've already got 3 hours in. He's our faithful viewer, and I missed his comment. Actually, cool. It was only like a couple of minutes ago. That makes me feel better. All right, yeah. That's it for tonight. If you want to be into that, just tell me. And since I know you on Facebook too, you want to mention it on the post, on the David Finch post, you can too. Okay, so, get in here. As we usually are. Thanks to Frame for being here. Thanks the Watcher for being here.
The Watcher.
Yeah, you know, I also, when I check the stats, a lot of times I'll see that like 12 people watch the video, but they just pop in and out, and it either doesn't register at the time, or there's a lot of people that pop in for only a couple minutes. Sometimes I don't even know that until the next day. But yeah, so the Phantom, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it except for paint it. Right. So thanks again. Like, subscribe, follow. Good night. God bless. Much love.
Peace.